Okay, I guess the streaming live on YouTube has started. Am I audible? All the panelists and Dr. Arun sir, shall we start?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome you all for today's panel discussion on the global robotics and automation market. Where are we headed? So today I have with me three panelists. I'll introduce them again in detail. So today, along with the panelists, I have my colleagues, the program in charge for the robotics and automation, Dr. Arun Kumar Bongale. I have Professor Dr. Satish Kumar, and I have Dr. Sachit, and I have my colleague Sunil Chawat with me for this program. And I welcome you all for this event. Myself, Dr. Vinay. I am working as Assistant Professor at Mechanical Engineering Department, Syllabus Institute of Technology. Now I'll request Dr. Satish to give a brief introduction about Syllabus Institute of Technology, and then we can start with the panel discussion. Dr. Satish, over to you.
Thank you, Vinay. Thank you. Am I audible, Dr. Vinay?
Yes.
Yeah. So let me quickly introduce our institute, Symbiosis Institute of Technology. So we are under the umbrella of Symbiosis International Deemed University. So Symbiosis International Deemed University is located on the Hilltop campus, and Symbiosis Institute of Technology is located in the Hill Base campus. We are located at Hill Base. So we have a decade of legacy or of more than 10 years. We are one of the pioneer engineering institutes of Symbiosis. We are approved by AICT, re-accredited by NAC, as well as we are a category 1 in the university. We are also under the category 1 university. So these are a few of our rankings, which are given by various ranking agencies like India Today, Outlook, and few more others to be presented. So normally we have BTech, MTech, as well as the PhD programs at our institute. So we have around 6 branches mainly for BTech, mechanical engineering, computer science, electronics and communication, civil engineering, robotics, automation, AI/ML, and we have the MTech programs in 3 different disciplines: AI/ML, as well as embedded systems. We also have 240 plus research scholars under Faculty of Engineering under the Symbiosis International University. So we, along with the BTech degrees, give the honors courses as a part of their continuing. So in different disciplines, we give the honors programs like electronics and mechanical, like smart manufacturing, automobile engineering, design of heat exchangers, and we keep on changing these honors courses based on the industry trends every year. There are a few silent features of Symbiosis Institute of Technology to like internationalization. As the name Symbiosis International University, we are inherent of the internationalization. We have the internship, 6 months internship program for every student in our curriculum. We have a multicultural and a vibrant campus life. Short-term certification, as I told you, BTech honors degree, BTech with honors degree, as well as a few certification program other than that for the interdisciplinary kind of approach. We have a holistic engineering curriculum. We have also a research environment with various research clusters in our Symbiosis as well. We have a focused skill development activities. Other than that, we have an option of pursuing the diploma in business management along with that. And we also have a strong industry connect. As we know, as repeated, like internship, we have a 6-month full-time internship in our curriculum. So we have a strong industry connect and various MOUs with different industries. Right. Few initiatives at SITs, like we have a Tinker Lab in which students come open the whole machinery, assemble and disassemble, such that they have a hands-on learning for that. We have various courses like design thinking, critical thinking, foreign languages for liberal arts, organizational behavior, entrepreneurship, and economics as well. So mainly these are few of our initiatives. Like foreign language, we normally teach, we make the student ready for internationalization for their MS programs, or also we have a global immersion program in which 6 months the student go for the abroad for different universities. Few of our universities we are in tie-up with for the global immersion program, and other research initiatives are being mentioned here, as well as few of our esteemed internship companies as well as the placement companies are being shown here. I think that's all brief. Thank you. Over to you, Vinay.
Yeah, Satish, thank you so much for the brief introduction. Today, I have with me three panelists. Dr. Pradeep Chatterjee, he's a head digital transformation and experience management, TML Business Services Limited. And I have Mr. Sudhindra Haldoderi. He's a consultant for L&T Technologies Services, former scientist, DRDO. And I have Mr. Mohit Hitesh Kapoor. He's doing his master science and he's all over from Switzerland. He's attending. And thank you so much for all the three panel members. First, I would like to give a brief introduction about Dr. Pradeep Chatterjee, sir. Dr. Pradeep has done his PhD from Birla Institute of Technology, Mesra, and Bachelor of Engineering in Electrical and Electronics Engineering from Birla Institute of Technology in 1991, from 1991 to 95. And he has done Executive Development Program, Department of Management Studies, Finance in 2007 from IIT Delhi, and he has done a Senior Management Program, Strategic Management of IT from IIM Ahmedabad, and he's having a vast experience. Previously, he has worked in Cummins as an IT architect, principal, and digital innovation. And Pradeep Chatterjee sir has done has worked as a distinguished visiting professor in Indian National Academy of Engineering. And Pradeep sir has worked at Tata Motors Group from 2019 to September 2020 as a head digital transformation. And currently he's working in TML Business Service Limited as a head and digital business and experience management. So, sir, thank you so much for your time and joining us. Request you to give your opening remarks with respect to the today's discussion, sir. Over to you.
Sure. So, good evening, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my views on this. I think it's a very interesting topic to go through this global robotics and automation market and really where we are headed. But before I come to the future state, I think let's look back a little bit to the history. So if you see industry automation, it started around mid 1920 to 1930, which is almost a century back now, with the normal control systems. And then came in the numeric controllers in around 1950s, and subsequently the CNC machines and other things came in. Around the same time, that is during the 1950s, actually the earliest robots were also introduced by George Dovell. And he was an inventor in Kentucky. But he invented it and he patented his innovation by the name of a manipulator called Unimet, which was from Universal Automation. But for the next decade, that is for around 10 years, he actually tried to sell this in the industry, but actually he did not succeed. So in 1960, there was an engineer cum businessman by the name of Joseph Engelberger, who actually acquired DeWolf's robotic patents, and then he modified it into an industrial robot. And many of those robots in a different format is what we see today. And he formed a company by the name of the Unimation, and then he started marketing it. Now, for his efforts and successes, actually Engelberger came to be known in the industry as the father of robotics. So that is how it started from 1960 to 1970 in this space that this robotics market has started globally. Now, as we stand today, if you look at the global robotics technology market size, it actually valued at $62.75 billion in 2019, and that has a projection of $189 billion by 2027 with a compounded annual growth rate of 13.5%. From 2020 to 2027 is what is expected. And when we talk of this market, we are talking of hardware, software, and the services which are being offered in the robotics technology market. Now, due to this pandemic, in 2020, it suffered a big hit. The market actually dipped a lot, and the similar thing is expected in 2021 as well, because with these lockdowns happening and the shutdown of the plants happening, actually robots require physical installation in the plants, and that is what is getting impacted. But nonetheless, the demands are getting pent up, and this will come up once I think the lockdown and other things opens up. But in other way, we can also see that this COVID-19 has actually created a market, because now people have started thinking that in various areas as supply chain, manufacturing, and healthcare, they are starting to adopt more robots in order to reduce the impact of virus, that if anything such happens even in the future, then we are trying to remove any human dependency, and hence the actually it is creating a big boom for the future. Now, when we talk of robotics and automation, it is actually disruptive innovation what has happened over this period of 100 years, what we see. It is normally said that ignorance is a bliss, but if you don't know about disruptive innovation, actually ignorance is not a bliss. So what becomes very important is that knowledge is a power, and we should know that where things are moving, and that's how I think today's topic is of relevance to our people, and it makes all the more sense that knowing that where the future is going. Now, in order to know that, this Geospatial World Survey, they conducted a survey to just find out that how people are knowing about this disruptive innovation in the field of automation, and how many percentage of people knows about it. Now, they bifurcated this study into several categories. Now, if I go by generation, the centennials, that is the people who are born around the century, who might be in the age bracket of around 80 to 20 years right now, around 14.3% of them heard about disruptive innovation. So they are pretty young, so I don't expect much, because they will be learning in the due process. The millennials are at a range of around 39.1% knowing about innovation. Gen X knows about 53.8%, and the baby boomers knows about 31.7%. So if you look at the trend, I think trend wise, it is based on the experience that more and more people are getting to know about disruptive innovation, which is quite good. In terms of the industry wise segmentation, if you see retail estate, they expect that automation is less likely to impact them, which is around 21.7% knows about it, is what they are saying. And the rest of the others, the manufacturing, the technology sector, the insurance sector, they are above 30 or 40% mark, whereby they knows about this disruptive innovation, because many are party to it. In terms of the bifurcation by gender, around 34.8% of women know about innovation, disruptive innovation, and around 42.3% of the men knows about it. Now, when we talk of this innovation and automation which is coming to the market, I think people get worried about their jobs. So this survey also covered that what is the perception, general perception level about people. And what came up is that percentage of people who feel that it will make my job easier is around 4%. People who were not very much sure, but they feel that it might make my job easier is around 16 to 17% of people. People who thought that it won't affect me in any way, whatever automation happens, is around 37%. People who are less likely that their job will go and it will cost them their job is around 38%, and people who are sure that it will cost them their job is around 3 to 4% again. So this is the perception of automation, which is there in the market, in the minds of the people. And in order to bring this automation, I think robots are playing a very big role. Now, as you know, there are three types of robots. We categorize them into three types, which is traditional industrial robots, then cobots, and the professional service robots, which are there. And these are having applications in various areas as manufacturing, healthcare, aerospace, defense, media and entertainment, logistics, and these are the various areas which are getting covered up. Now I'll just cover one by one. If you come to this industrial robots, what we refer to normally is there are primarily 6 main types of robots, which are the Cartesian robot, SCARA, cylindrical, delta, polar, and vertically articulated. Now, if you use some of these different configurations together, you can generate some new different types of robots as well. But each of these types offers a different joint configuration, and these joints in the arm are referred to as the axis, what we are referring here. Now, when I come to cobots, which is a new concept which is coming up because industrial robots have been existing for quite some time, but these cobots are giving manufacturers access to all the benefits of advanced robotic automation without any additional extra cost for the robots. Like normal robots require difficult programming, they take longer setup times, and they need to work in a shielded work environment which is protected so that no human intervention is there, otherwise it can cause some accidents. Now this makes the automation affordable even for small batch production runs and mixed product assembly. So these cobots are actually designed to share workspace with a human and making it all the more easier. And all these benefits have made cobots a game changer for a wide variety of applications where man and machine has to work side by side. Now, the simplest way to understand that how cobots are different from robots is that, as I mentioned, cobots are designed to work alongside of human, whereas industrial robots actually work in place of humans. So while a cobot will be assisting employees in doing some work, it does not take away the job of that particular employee. A robot actually replaces a human employee in a factory type of a situation. Now, if you see, the cobots can be actually easily programmable, and they also learn on the job. So for example, a factory worker, if he wants to change the particular route movement or the arm movement of a particular cobot, he can easily do that by just taking the arm and then moving it in the desired track, and the cobot learns it, and then it is able to repeat it, on its own. Whereas in case of an industrial robot, you have to bring an engineer who knows to write the code. He has to modify the code, making any changes to be implemented, and then only those changes can get incorporated. So this is the difference between the ease of how things can be used between a robot and a cobot. But one thing we should remember, that a cobot is not designed for heavy manufacturing. The industrial robots actually handle heavier and larger materials, which are used in auto manufacturing, and also they require a safety cage, as I mentioned, so that the human intervention is prevented, and the cobots are safe enough to function around people, and they don't require similar kind of safety infrastructure which is required by industrial robot. Now, if I come to the professional service robots, actually these are the different types of service robots other than the manufacturing operations what I just explained. And this can be in various different areas like logistics robot, inspection robot, industrial cleaning robots, field robots, or medical robots, and there are various multiple applications. Even in agriculture, you can find several of those robots contributing. Now, the major technology automation is getting incorporated day by day in this particular area of professional service robots, whereby a lot of technologies are coming in the form of innovation in terms of machine learning, artificial intelligence, then adaptive computing, and intelligent vision systems getting embedded as part of this, either robots or cobots, which are designed to perform some of these specific services. So in order to augment this automation, these are the various developments which are happening in the field of the robotics. In order to encourage automation, this World Economic Forum, they actually launched a concept of a lighthouse. And what they do is they identify these manufacturing setups across the globe, and with this automation and industry 4.0 coming in together, they have an assessment process. And through assessment, if a particular organization has reached a certain level of adoption of automation, then they recognize them as the lighthouse globally, which other organizations actually can follow, learn it from them, and these organizations actually can help them in a collaborative type of operations in order to improve, so that other organizations can also adopt similar automation levels. So at present, there are around 69 manufacturing lighthouses which have been identified from different industry sectors by the World Economic Forum, and those are listed there. Now, as I mentioned, they are there for doing any of the collaborative projects. Now, within that, they have also brought in a very good concept of a dark plant or a lights off factory, which means that the plant has gone to that level of automation that really you don't require a human being to work there, and hence you don't require any lights in that particular factory, because it is all robots and it is all automated machines which is doing all the work over there, and hence the requirement of light is not there, and hence those are called the dark plants. Very recently, in January 2019, the Shanghai listed Foxconn Industrial Internet Company Limited, FII, actually, which is Apple's one of the largest manufacturing contractor, Foxconn. They received this particular recognition very recently as a lights off factory, because they have fully automated their manufacturing system. They are manufacturing these electrical equipment components such as the smartphones and other things, whereby they have introduced automated optimization system for machine learning and AI devices. They have introduced intelligent self-maintenance systems. So if a machine goes down, there are intelligent maintenance systems which can repair it itself, as well as intelligent real-time monitoring system which can take decisions and accordingly alter the sequencing or whatever is required in order to automate the process, which otherwise a human being has to do there physically. So they have gone to that level of automation, and by doing this, they actually have reached a production efficiency of around 30%, and inventory management cycle time has reduced by 15%. So it's a big achievement for this company in terms of the financials as well, by adopting this automation technology. Now, if you look at this, the way the things are moving, day by day, I think intelligent vision system is contributing a lot, whether it is related to machine automation or it is related to robotics and automation together. And taking this forward, in fact, we had been working also in various intelligent systems, which can be actually embedded in the robots or the cobots. And we tried to bring in the professional robot services in manufacturing, where we are working on identification of right parts through AI, so that, let's say, if you need to package certain parts, the AI vision system will read the packing list, it will understand the part which is to be fitted, and once the fitment is done, once the part is being picked up for packaging, it identifies that if you have picked up the right part or wrong part, so that you don't dispatch a wrong part to your customer. So that is one. The second one is accurate online measurement systems. So for example, without this, in the normal manufacturing scenario, you use CMM machines, which is a coordinate measurement machines, which are there, where you do the accurate measurement in a batch size. So maybe out of a lot of 100 or 200 lots, you measure one component to ensure that the measurements are in place. But if you want to do in-process gauging in your production lines, that is why you need to put in the cameras in the line itself and put in intelligent vision system, and whether the measurements are correct or not. If the measurement is correct, it goes in the process. If the measurements are not correct, then actually it goes automatically into the rejection lines without any human intervention. So that is another development what is happening. The third is helping the right fitment of the parts. So your vision system actually reads the part number where the assembly is to be done, and it sees the various parts what is getting fitted to it, and identifies that if any wrong part is getting fitment, it can actually raise an alarm and you can do the necessary correction. Then identification of errors in human being. Here actually a robot can work as an inspector in a manufacturing line. So if you have the digital work instruction in a video format fed to the robot, The vision system actually can understand the gesture of the person who is working on the floor to find out that if he is doing the operation in the right sequence, what he is supposed to do or not. If there is some mistake, it can actually raise an alarm, and then the person can get it corrected. So this is a scenario where you don't implement a robot, you continue with the human intervention, but then you just want to ensure that it's not dependent on the skill of the person to do a particular job in a certain way, and that is getting monitored by a robot. And then there can be some pre-delivery inspection like identification of cracks, dents, or the right fitment, especially in automotive. In automotives, what we are trying to do, that before it gets dispatched, you identify these minor defects so that these defects does not reach to your customer, so which otherwise through a human intervention can get missed out. So as a future, what I see, that the way things are evolving, that man and machine will be working together in collaboration. So one way what I would like to put up the artificial intelligence, what we talk about today, that in the future, this artificial intelligence actually is getting transformed into collaborative intelligence. So AI actually might be replaced with CI, that is a collaborative intelligence of the future between man and machine, is how things are going to evolve. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Especially in this current pandemic situation, we are understanding the importance of less human interaction, and the importance of robotics and automation in various industries. As you mentioned, either it would be in the medical, or in the automobile, or in the agriculture, or in the aircraft, or in the quality inspection. Yes, sir. I totally agree with you. Sir, I have few questions with me. Maybe we can take up the questions in the end. And also a request to the participants, kindly put your questions in the chat box. We can take the questions in the end. Okay, now I'll come to Dr. Sudhindra sir. I'll give a brief introduction about Dr. Sudhindra sir. Sudhindra Haldode is currently a consultant for L&T Technology Services in its Aero Business Group. And prior to this, he was a consultant to Quest Global Engineering for its Rolls-Royce Offshore Development Center at Bengaluru. He started his engineering career at the prestigious DRDO as a scientist, and served for 22 years. For a brief period, he was a deputy general manager at a HAL design department. During this period of 24 years, he served in the field of aircraft propulsion, fuel system, and he was responsible for the design, development, integration, and flight testing of critical mechanical systems of LCA, the light combat aircraft, and intermediate jet trainer aircraft. He has also taught aerospace engineering students at private and deemed universities for 7 years. And he's a member in the board of studies of prestigious institutions like Manipal University, Bangalore University, then the Gokhale Institute of Technology, National College, and Home Science College. Sir, we are really happy to have you. We have so many young brains, a lot of potential candidates here. We need to listen from you. We need to know the experience with respect to the today's topic, sir. Sir, over to you for your remarks. Sir, you're muted. Kindly unmute.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, three Kumars, Dr. Vinay Kumar, Dr. Arun Kumar, and Dr. Satish Kumar for having invited me for this panel discussion. And Dr. Pradeep Chatterjee actually relieved much of pressure on me. He gave a brief history of the robotics and automation, and he talked about the innovations that is happening. He spoke about the cobots, the challenges over there, the safety, and he also talked about collaborative intelligence, and he spoke about the World Economic Forum's initiative, many more things. He covered the topics very concisely, very briefly, and very, very informative things. I made little notes while I was listening to him. Thanks to Dr. Pradeep Chatterjee, and I'm very eager to listen to Mr. Mohit Kapoor too. And we are today here to discuss global robotics and automation market. Where are we headed? And as Pradeep Chatterjee rightly mentioned, we're in a place where this COVID-19, we are still not in the post-COVID area. we are still within the COVID period. And because of this, a lot of this global supply chain market has affected, especially in my field of work, that is in the airlines and aerospace business. And there is a lot of demand for automation and robotic system, and people are looking for solutions from the robotics and automation market. And the adaptation of the so-called cobots, a term used to describe human-robot collaboration, has surged significantly. In fact, before I was preparing for this panel discussion, I had an access to the International Federation of Robotics report. Though the 2020 report is not yet out, I am still having the previous year report, that is for the year for 2019. For the year 2020, it is not yet released. And there are very interesting statistics that are available with that. And I also had a discussion with some of my close friends who are working in IBM, who are also have invested a lot of their resources into this robotics and automation market. See, the International Federation of Robotics reports that 2.7 million units of industrial robots are in operation worldwide, and 370,000 cobot units were installed in 2019. And that was the growth of about 11% from the previous year. And they expected a similar kind of growth in the year 2020. Because of the COVID, it has not happened. And in the case of industrial robots, there is a growth of about 4.8%. And these are all the numbers what they are talking about. And if you take a closer look at the specific regions, Asia remains the strongest market for the industrial robots. And as we all know, that China is a major player over here. But apart from China and Japan, and we have South Korea and India also playing a major role in the robotic market. And COVID-19 has introduced us the new normal world, and businesses are compelled to do or develop many different ways of doing their businesses. People are looking at new customized goods and services, and they're also looking at improving their processes. And of course, everybody is looking at lowering the prices and the productivity people want to increase. And the first one, what I am telling you, is the new customized goods and services are going to play a major role over here. And companies are looking at very advanced automation to deal with the new standards. Clients are more aggressively demanding automated processes that remove repetitive, monotonous activities, and which augment humans to achieve quality results more quickly. Till the COVID-19 pandemic hit the world, there was an year-on-year increase in the number of industrial robots operating in factories, and the new normal did affect the robotics industry too, and the numbers did not grow as projected in 2020. We are entering into an era of intelligent automation, also known as hyper automation or extreme automation. And this is something similar to the collaborative intelligence what Dr. Pradeep Chatterjee made a mention. So this is entirely different from the conventional automation, which was just mechanical in nature. So intelligent automation focuses on information using artificial intelligence and hybrid cloud technology, and AI is accelerating this automation. And we have hit a critical convergence of key technologies such as visual recognition, which Dr. Pradeep also made a mention about it, and the natural language processing, that is NLP, and machine learning. So all these key technologies are creating new possibilities. And just 5 years ago, these three technologies were in their infancy, but now they are in the mainstream. So these technologies will power tons of different AI technologies that can be applied in many different scenarios. And IBM expects by 2022, AI-powered automation shall reduce the manual IT process up to 80%. That is very large chunk, but still their projection is 80%, and operation expense is going to get reduced by 75%. So there's a tall expectation, but the way the industry is working towards that, we may at least achieve 70-80% of what the numbers are there. And there is a need for upskilling workers for higher productivity. And due to this new normal, and when the industries look into new ways of automation, and workers need to upskill, and intelligent automation augments the various processes and helps the employees focus on more quality work and leave the mundane, repetitive work to automation. That is what industrial robots can take off those things. And adapting to chatbots and conversation AI will soon be in the mainstream, and considering chatbots enhance modern businesses and allow them to connect with the customers with efficiency, scale, and speed. See, there are many important things, but I would just list certain things where technology is going to play a major role. This is the embedded vision and machine learning in robotics. And people look for embedded systems which are lightweight and which consumes less energy and be adaptable to the, and it needs to be retrofitted to the existing system or with any robotic system. So manufacturers need to integrate advanced supportive technologies such as 3D perception and deep machine learning to enable new machine vision applications. Then this smart robot grippers for safe collaboration with human workers. And Pradeep was making a mention about the safety of workers working with collaborative robots or cobots. So robots have become more collaborative with human workforces instead of replacing them, as was the case before. Therefore, there is a need to design robot grippers that are more collaborative and safer. End-of-arm tooling EOAT providers will need to develop robot prototypes with advanced sensors that can detect human workers' presence and movement. So both people and cobot need to coexist and co-work, and so need to understand the movement of others. And so there is need for advanced sensors which can alert cobots about the presence of a worker, and also alert worker for the presence of cobots. And this communication technologies like 5G and edge AI for robotic independence and flexibility of real-time application is another emerging technology. While 5G will provide benefits such as low latency and on-the-go decision making, and edge-based AI will enable robots to carry out data processing on the machine without data traveling to and fro from the cloud. So there will be a huge demand for secure local data processing closer to the robot. So now looking at the new markets, so which are the kind of robots people will look for is the robot adaptation in manufacturing sectors such as food production and pharmaceuticals. They are going because these are the two industries which did not collapse during the COVID-19, and these two industries have grown in multifold. So both food production and pharmaceuticals require robot adaptation, as well as adaptation in service sectors such as healthcare and retail. Also, you are going to see more and more robots, more and more cobots working in these sectors. And robots will enable flexible production. And today you need to ship smaller customized orders in short time frames instead of large orders and huge bulk production. So there is going to be more demand for the customized orders, and that should be delivered within short time frames, and even the order quantity will be lesser. So robots need to adapt to this new flexible production, and robots enable resilient supply chains. See, they are collaborative robots that work alongside humans and can be quickly retasked, can be used to enable production in peak order periods. So whenever, see, the industry, we always get this kind of situations where suddenly the order would be peak and we may not have the right kind of human resources available. So now robots can quickly adapt to the situation depending upon the peak order, and they can always work. And the manufacturer will find it difficult to ramp up staff. So robots should be able to take up such huge orders, and there will be a continuous supply chain which is not getting disrupted. And we always speak about carbon footprint, and all these robots need to look into this and lowering the overall carbon footprint of manufacturing by minimizing the material waste. So definitely robots and cobots will work towards that, and which will also enable companies to optimize their space utilization. So these are the key points which I wanted to share today, and I am open for further discussions after Mohit Kapoor completes his presentation. Thank you very much for hearing me.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. In fact, I'm getting a lot of questions. Definitely will take up after Mohit's talk.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Okay. Let me introduce about Mohit Kapoor. Okay. Mohit did his bachelor's engineering from Sardar Patel Institute of Technology in electronics and telecommunication, where he was also a part of the college robotics committee. He was selected as an intern under Siemens India Limited and SIT RAIN program, where he got the opportunity to work in building the technologies with focus on automation systems like lighting, public address, and fire alarms for commercial spaces. Subsequently, he was accepted at ETH Zurich to pursue his master's of science in electrical and IT engineering with specialization in robotics and control. Currently, he's working as an intern at Myospace AG, which builds robotic healthcare devices for assisting the impaired. His research areas at ETH include machine learning, computer vision, and their integration with modern devices. In fact, as I said, today we have a lot of young brains. They are also looking for the master's degree outside India, especially in this robotics automation field. So for sure, Mohit will be sharing his experience, his journey towards this robotics and automation masters. Mohit, over to you. Let us know your inputs towards this.
Sure. Thank you so much for the kind introduction, and I hope the audio levels are fine. I'll just
Perfect.
start because I just have a small presentation. I'll just directly start with it.
Sure. Yeah.
So as you know, like the topic for today is basically we are going to talk about the robotics and automation market. And as already the two panelists before me have touched most of the things that are going into the industry, and this is already done. I mean, you had a better introduction about me than what's written here. So as you said, I'm still from the academia. I'm still doing my master's and I'm in my second year currently. So I'll be focusing more about the academia aspect of the industry and how academia helps in collaborating with the industries to get new products to the market. And we would have already touched this section, which is basically about the industry. But the thing is, like the industry has more of the practical knowledge and they have more knowledge about how to make business plans and everything. Whereas the academia is based on core research and theory. So, and it's important for both of them to share. And also there's another third aspect, which we might have skipped in this research, which is about the government intervention. So it's in general, it's like important for the university to collaborate with industry along with government intervention, like financing, so that, you know, there is a better exchange of knowledge. So I'll be mostly focusing about here, this section. And as you know that my focus areas are basically computer vision, AI, and healthcare. So I'll just talk about the university research that has been going on in these areas with some examples that some I have been involved, some are still going in my university. And I hope you find this talk a bit interesting and it motivates you to choose this field in future. So firstly, I'd like to talk about Myoswiss. It's a startup which came from the same university where I am studying about 4 years ago. And it's about providing physiotherapical suits for people who have walking disabilities. It's easy, like walking is considered as quite an easy task. But for someone with a disability, it might be really, really difficult. And it needs like hours of physiotherapist training where, you know, a person has to constantly interact with the person, do repeated motions with his legs so as to generate the motor abilities in ear and in the brain. So what the company did, they just developed the suit. In fact, for these robots, there are two types of suits. One is this, and one is an exoskeleton, which basically contains metals. So here, the suit doesn't contain any metals. It's just plastic parts, and all these are governed by string. There's a backpack behind, which basically contains the batteries and all the motors to control the strings. So there are strings basically which go through these areas, and it's used basically for the hip flexion and for support of the muscles in the lower limbs. So as you can see, like these are some of our patients who benefited a lot. It can be normal standing, walking with or without a support, taking a stairs. People even started hiking because I mean, hiking is a very challenging thing. It's like walking on uneven terrain. So for someone who has not even been able to walk, for him being able to hike, it's a very, very big achievement. And also sitting transfers where like generally people tend to lose their balance. So this is what basically this company does, and it was an academia research of two people, which basically led to this startup, and it's going pretty well. And I'm currently a part of it, working as a mechatronics intern, helping them build more units of these kind. Next, I would like to talk about on another startup from ETH, which has just started and it's like just taking shape. It's about Chevo. What do you guys think? This is actually a wheelchair, but its specialty is it's a stair climbing wheelchair. I mean, normal wheelchairs, you know that there are kind of two kinds of wheelchairs. One would be automatic wheelchairs where you have a joystick control and you would be able to move forward, and one is the one driven by hands. But one of the major drawbacks of wheelchairs is obviously you can't go to other inclinations. So here, what a smart thing was done for normal terrain is basically uses this wheel and the wheel in front to travel. Whereas for stairs, it uses this thing, which is like a conveyor belt to travel. And the system is designed so intellectually that the moment you step on the stairs, it basically calculates the inclination and automatically selects the best possible speed, which would be safe for the person to move down without tumbling. So it's like a really cool one, and it's still going under production. And this unit roughly costs around 80,000 rupees. It's still quite expensive, but it's like a one of a kind wheelchair. Next, as I said, that I am quite a lot interested in computer vision as well. This is one of the projects which is going in ETH with Toyota robotic and automation cars in Europe. As you can see, this is a self-driven car. It's stopped for the pedestrian. Here, what we see are the steering angles, what a normal human would do, and what would be there if we used only front cameras. And the third case is what they use, which was this surround plus TomTom. So what that is, surround basically is you have all cameras, as you will be able to see in the video again. It has all cameras all around the car. And what TomTom is actually a Netherlands company, which is basically working on GPS systems. So they incorporated all this knowledge along with computer vision to which is actually going a research with Toyota for this autonomous driving cars. And what you see here on the other side was the driving speed of what a normal human would drive on the same track versus what these technologies drive at. So, I mean, if we have a look at the results, it's quite interesting. Like the steering wheel angles for all the parts they had gone are pretty same for everything. And in fact, if you have a look for the one with this, which is surround plus TomTom, the speed is actually higher than what an average human would drive at, because the cars are getting more confidence because they have more information ahead of them. Like using the GPS, they know if there's definitely no any traffic in front of them, they have more confidence of driving at a higher speed. So this is one of the cool research which is going with Toyota, and ETH is also like associated with it in developing it. And also from the same lab, there comes another research area, which is object segmentation. So as you know that augmented reality is also being widely recognized in the future, where we are talking about things like in the future we might not even need displays to look at stuff. You might just wear a VR on an AR glass and you can feel stuff in the real 3D space. And that's what Huawei Technologies developed with ETH. This is an already completed project. This is the published paper. It's about object segmentation in videos. So what the challenge actually for videos is that you have quite less, you need to have quite less latency to be able to separate the object from the background. And as you can see here in the examples, it's like easily we'll be able to objectify the guy who is like jumping around the obstacles from the background. And this is basically the technology that you used in AR, where you have a fixed background that you look around and you project a 3D object in it. So this is the reverse technology of it, where we have a live space which is around us. It could be anything, a garden or somewhere, and you pick out the object from it. So this was basically used by Huawei Technologies to develop a depth image in cameras that we see nowadays, that too in a video format. So this is an already completed research. It already is got completed, I guess, in 2019, and it has been incorporated in Huawei mobiles soon. Next, when we move ahead, let's come a bit away from computer vision. Now I'm going into smart cities about traffic modeling. So as you can see, you would all know that because of the growing population, there's a lot of large number of traffic in and around the roads, and you have a lot of cars driving everywhere. So traffic modeling also becomes a very crucial thing. So what many researchers have done, this is one researcher, Ludovic sir, he had developed this in the University of Lyon in Paris, France, which basically it talks about taking a network of a city and forming reservoirs from it. This all sections are called reservoirs, and then you model each reservoir with an input and output flow. So this thing is basically called MFFD, which is basically network microscopic flow diagram. These are the clusters, as you can see, and they have like the flow density of cars going in and around it. So how this flow densities are computed is basically using the information from the traffic signals at these nodes. So you get to know that the number of cars heading inwards versus the cars that are going out. And in that case, you compute the flow of this reservoir. It's similar to a water tank problem where you have an inlet and an outlet, and you kind of compute the level of the reservoir. It's a similar way. And what it in the end does, it converts this into a MFD diagram, which looks like this. And what then we compute is we see at each node, if one node is there's a lot of traffic and it's stuck, we try to divert the traffic from the other nodes by giving instructions to the respective signals. So for example, this signal wouldn't allow cars to move straight, and it would indicate more allowance for the left turn, for example. So this is done in real time, and it's quite an interesting technique. It is still used in the metropolitan city of Lyon. This was developed in 2017, and it's similar to routing packets, how we do in a network where if we have, say, a network traffic or a congestion in one area, we try to transfer the packets from another routes. It would obviously, and there's also an interesting calculation, because if, say, this network is jammed, there are several other ways to go. But there is a mathematical model which is being developed, which calculates the least possible reaching time to one of these destinations. And it's a really cool presentation. I had an opportunity to attend this lecture by Professor Ludovic, and it was really nice. And if you want more details about it, you can refer to this PDF, and he has everything explained it in pretty well. So this was basically what I wanted to show about some glimpses that are going in the academia that is affecting the industry. And now let's come to the main question, which is where are we headed in future? What is the future about? So as our speakers had already told, Dr. Chatterjee had already told before that we are mostly talking about cobots, AI, ML. So the first question which would arise in your mind, that is the future just gonna be software? Are we just gonna have software research only? Because all we talk about nowadays is AI and big data. That's it, and IoT. So what I would say, it's not the case. I feel that it would still be a mixture of hardware and software, because the way we kind of develop these very powerful software algorithms of AI and ML, we would need even powerful hardware in future to be able to run them in real time with the minimum latency as possible. So that's one of the major challenges. And there are some other hardware challenges that would still require a lot of research. For example, if you have an already existing system which is, say, not equipped with AI, and if you want to make it in such a way, you would definitely need to add more components to it. So obviously, if you add 3 times the more components which it currently has, a user won't like a product which is 3 times larger than the current size. So therefore, you need a lot of research in hardware to make the packing density of the equipment as high as possible, so that the size doesn't change even after putting it in the different packaging. Also, as Mr. Sudhindra had pointed out, we need to be able to make retrofits. So that's what basically I mean by backward compatibility. Like nowadays, Philips is making this hue lighting systems, which you can control with your Google Assistant or Siri. What if they had made it in such a way that you will have to replace your holders with new ones? Obviously, no one would have gone for that choice, because It's like impossible for huge factories where there are a lot of lights to replace each and every equipment and we have new fittings for them. So that's why these things are important, and I feel that it is going to be a lot of software research, but we can't say that the field is just going to be about software. We would need equally important hardware to be able to keep the field moving forward. And what basically are we heading towards is what we term as the smart world. So what can you expect in the smart world? I guess these all ideas are already touched upon by our guests. We want better mobility in terms of like people moving from one place to the another, and in terms of smart cars. We want better healthcare system, as I talked about, better wheelchair, better physiotherapy systems, robot assisted. You have a lot of robot assisted operations carried out in hospitals. Smart buildings is one of the areas which I haven't touched, but you might have an idea about it. It's about having Internet of Things so that you can control all of the devices are linked to the internet, and you can control anything with your phone from everywhere. So there are definitely, we are talking a lot about IoT nowadays, and there would definitely be a lot of challenges in it. So first important thing, as Mr. Sujindra had pointed out, it would be the speed, like we would have low latency. So like maybe 5G would be a good boost to it, but it would be still a thing to see. Like a physical Ethernet cable would definitely have faster transfer rates of information than a wireless connection. So it's just a matter of fact to wait and see how much research we do in communication as well to get IoT as fast as working, so that we would be able to implement this on like a commercial scale. Next up is smart cities. I had already touched this program. It's about building mathematical models of industries, sometimes which they use ML. For example, like for the case that I told about Leon, they had used this signals where they had CCTV cameras and they used computer vision to compute the flow of the inward cars and the outward cars. So it's obviously an integration of all these complex mathematical models along with modern AI to make our things better. Also, digital economy is something that we haven't touched, but I would say it would still come under a lot under automation, because it's like nowadays we say it's all about a digital world. You have all your information on your phone, your smartphones, and even all your information with the government is on the phone. So I would say a digital economy would also be an important thing. But as someone who is new into this field, I would like to point out that it would be important for us to make this digital economy more into a circular one than a linear one. So what I mean by the term circular economy is basically the concepts of reduce, reuse, and recycle. So the thing is, we are developing so much robots and there's so much research going on. There will be definitely a time that we would be bored with the old devices and they would be no longer useful. We also need to think about, good recycling techniques so that we just don't keep on accumulating e-waste and get to recycle them better so that we can use those materials back into building new equipments. And that would, I would say, play a critical role in this the last factor of digital economy. But for now, let us think one thing. Don't you think that we would have to define a limit to this? I mean, how smart a world can be? As Dr. Chatterjee had pointed out, that he talked about this concept of cobots. I would think that that would be the defining limit in this case, that it would be good to have cobots rather than replacing 100% industries with robots, because it should be in such a way that the modern robots should make human life easier, but it shouldn't be that it would be a threat to humans, that they completely like replace humans and you have factories. Then like it would be very difficult to get jobs in the world market. So it has to be a more of a cobot thing, I would say, in the future, where you use all these AIs and everything and get it to make a bit like collaborative integration, as we talked about, that would help to assist our mankind and not entirely replace us. But if we move forward and think about, say, a very far future, as we are talking about a smart world, do you think this idea is possible? And I would see, like, will it be possible for anyone to mute or type in the chat if what are their views on it? Is it possible to have smart humans? Anyone on it?
I guess unmuting option is not there. You can put it in the chat.
Anyone wants to?
Yeah.
think whether it's feasible or not to have smart humans, where you try to say take all the algorithms that you developed using artificial intelligence and to use the computing capacity of this beautiful brain, try to combine it and make ourselves smarter. Fascinating, or do you think it's just a concept and could never be realized? And also, as one more thing, there is one person who believes that this is possible. Do you know who he is? Anyone? So I'll just give you the answer for it. It's this cool guy. I guess everyone knows him for sure. The man here, Elon Musk. He's recently launched in 2017 this thing Neuralink, which basically is trying to merge the human brain with AI. It's about embedding a chip in human brain, and it's basically using the IQ of a machine, the computational capacity of a machine, with the EQ of human beings to make ourselves smarter. But how feasible it is, they are still working on it. Recently, like about a couple of weeks back, they released a video of theirs where they had done this trial on a monkey and he is able to play video games with his mind. It's a really nice video. You can have a look on it on YouTube. But the thing is, there are like a lot of pros and cons. Obviously, every coin has two sides. So some of the drawbacks of this would be like you won't be able to think of what you're doing, because whatever you think is actually currently what it just remains in your mind. But because of these chips, they can be easily transmitted to the server. So you won't be able to hide your feelings, the things that are in your mind. It would definitely be communicated to a machine. So that's like a steal of your privacy. And I don't know how feasible that is or how cool that is. Maybe it's a good research for academia or just for the industry, but is it something that the market is ready for? I think that question can only be answered by some time, and we don't have an answer to it. So that's basically it from my side. That's my presentation about it, where we are heading. And I would be happy to answer questions that students are related to academia or the field.
Yeah, Mohit, thank you so much. In fact, we are getting a lot of questions, and Sudhindra sir already started answering them. Okay. The reason behind conducting these events, in fact, it's not a first event we are conducting. Every month we have something called as a tech talk. It happens on every second and fourth Saturday. And apart from that, we have conducted so many hands-on sessions, so many workshops. So this is basically to brainstorm the students, the potential candidates, to know more and more about the robotics and automation. And to have this panel discussion, because we were getting a lot of queries. In fact, we have started BTech in robotics and automation and MTech in robotics and automation. So we started getting a lot of queries about the students want to know about more and more about the robotics and automation. So we thought of having this, and I just connected with you all three, and it happened today. So now I will request Dr. Satish to highlight about robotics and automation at SIT. Dr. Satish. Yeah, Satish, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
The screen visible?
Yes.
Yeah. So as Dr. Vinay mentioned that we were getting many queries about the program highlights and many other things. So we thought that we could just have a brief introduction of the robotics and automation. Now we have recently started the program BTech as well as the MTech in robotics automation in Symbiosis Institute of Technology. This is the first year. So just like as mentioned in the SIT presentations, in the institute presentation, we have a very unique features of all the program. So one of the major unique feature is the industry connect and the internship, where we give students for a BTech student, we give for a 6 months internship as well as send for a 6 months internship, and as well as with respect to MTech, we send students for 1 year project in a different industries. We are having few MOUs and few more in the process, which will be operational by within 6 to 8 months. Which gives a very unique features of the program. So as well as the semester exchange program, like in the different international universities, we are having the tie-up, and we are having a industry sponsored lab. We are trying to build some industry sponsored lab in the institute itself. Also, Symbiosis is known for its research as well as its area. So we do a continuous research with multidisciplinary course. So for that, we have introduced this course based on that due to the industry trends. This is one of the multidisciplinary course in which various courses like AIML, manufacturing, different branches can also uh, take a part into this. So research nowadays is not respective of a branch, any branch, like it is not respective or limited to a branch. It has been involved like a multidisciplinary kind of thing. So we have different opportunities for students level activities like IEEE, Robotics Automation Society, as well as with respect to ICRA, All India Council for Robotics and Automation. We are normally we also provide a stipend or a TA-ship for a GATE student and non-GATE student, the paid internship, as I mentioned before. We are a proud member of All India Council for Robotics and Automation, in which many activities we are taking care, trying to create the awareness at our institute with in collaboration with ACRA, in which students also have the opportunity to participate in the conference, supports networking with the ACRA members is one of the major where it has a huge database. ACRA has a huge members yeah, of a robotics and who are working in the robotics and automation field. We get the access for with talking with them, with aligning with their thoughts, like and we also run some few. They also run few robotic literacy program in which we can easily participate, as well as few competitions like robotics league, World Robotics Champion, in which our students can easily participate. So coming to the program focus, like it's a multidisciplinary course. We have for MTech normally, as our MTech admissions are live now, is going to happen. So the focus is for the program we have mentioned. So we have as I mentioned, a multidisciplinary course. First semester we have a Python, mechatronics, Internet of Things, robotics, right, digital manufacturing and 3D printing subjects. And second semester like AIML, IoT, robotic kinematics, PLC SCADA system, digital twin, one of the major interesting area nowadays, the twin, the replica, what normally industries are trying to create for different machineries, such that they can monitor remotely, is one of the major. That also we are having a few projects as well on this discipline. Our university also fund few projects in which like the industrial project or internship can be carried out by the student. So like for a student, there is around 1.5 lakh student research project, which based on the ideas, our university fund them. So we also have, as I told you, industry collaborations initially. So few industry collaborations like KPIT, Glass Academy, Minda, Tech Mahindra, with related to the robotics we are associated with, or we are working, and a few more others. So research opportunities, as I told you, we have clusters, and in SIT we are having these four different centers, Sky, as well as the nanoscience, waste management, medical image analysis, in which the activities, research activities we are carrying out. Other than this, also there are few more research independent activities by the department as well. And you can see, as all the panel members were mentioning, the opportunities of robotic engineering. It has been a very extensive report where I was going to some articles recently, where a few cutout of the articles have been mentioned here, from which you can easily see that many software industries are taking over the one of the major example like Wipro buys the automation firm Pari. Pari is one of the major key player in the robotics. Wipro has that. So this area is nowadays increasing due to the industry fourth revolution, and it has given various opportunities to the robotics engineer, and various platforms are open for them. So the skill engineers are required in this area, we can say it as. So as Dr. Vinay was mentioning, we have a Tech Talk series every second and third Saturday, or every Saturdays. Till now, we have taken 5 different Tech Talks on different topics, and many more to come. As well as we have done a robotics workshop for 9th, 10th, 11th level students for different schools. We in collaboration with Symbiosis schools. So 3 days workshop. We had a very huge response towards it, like around 500 to 600 participants registered, and around 350 plus have completed the workshop, 3 days full workshop. So the entrance exam is live, and 20 for MTech's robotics and automation. It's on 26th. Duration is 1 hour online mode. So you can register via our website for that. And BTech, if you are interested for a BTech programs, I was checking the chat box. We were asking me whether we have a robotics automation in BTech. So we have it. We are open for that as well. As via SIT EEE, JEE, and MSTCT, or any state entrance exam, we admit the BTech students as well. Thank you. Dr. Vinay?
Yeah, Satish, thank you. Yeah, as Dr. Satish was mentioning, we have the test and the interview on 26th of this month, that is on day after tomorrow, Monday. So those are interested in this field who wanted to do this test is for the MTech. Those are really interested in this, they can definitely come and attend and take the admission for this robotics and automation. Now, coming back to the question and answer sessions, I have received so many queries. Now the questions are open for the panel members. And the first question is like this. Okay, we are talking about the robotics and artificial intelligence. Okay, where it stands, how many years do you expect this trend to go on? And especially with respect to India, what could be the future? It's open for any one of the panel members. You all are muted, sir. You can unmute it.
So I will say that this particular trend is going to evolve as we go along. And I think the future, as we mentioned, and Mohit touched upon that, is what I was also referring to as collaborative technology, is through the BCI technology, that is a brain computer interface, which is showcased about the Neuralink. That is definitely going to come in some way or the other. But yes, as I mentioned, there are various concerns which are there, which needs to be addressed on the privacy front. But from a technology point of view, I think things will keep evolving, and new things as such between man and machine, the more and more collaborative approach will keep on increasing as we go along.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Maybe this question would be better for Mohit, I guess. Mohit, can you brief about doing masters after the BTech outside India? Like, what do you suggest?
Yep, sure. I mean,
how to approach?
Actually, it's a good step in your career, to be honest, to do a master's outside of India, and you get a lot of exposure to industrial recognition, especially in Europe and US. So I would say it's a good thing to do for your career. And the way to tackle it would be to have very consistent academics during your bachelor's. Yes, your bachelor's count a lot. They are basically your foundations for these courses. And just that in your master's, you get more into the industry thing. But I was pointing out, I was looking at the Symbiosis curriculum. Even that curriculum looks a lot more industry oriented and practical one, which is really good, to be honest. So even having that experience in your bachelor's would help you guys during your master's. And I would say that the masters, as I said, it's more about practical experience where you get to collaborate with a lot of researchers in your field, who might be professors, even doctorates, postdocs, and you have like literally two semester projects that you need to do throughout your curriculum, along with a full-time master project that's for 6 months. So that basically forms like your base for getting into research. So if you are more into research oriented, I would say getting a master's degree would be a really nice step in your career.
Yeah. I hope students got the answer for this. Okay, there's one more question. Like, is there any particular sector under robotics which will be more productive in future? Anyone can take.
I would say healthcare would go a long way.
Okay. Sudhindra sir.
Yeah, I would add food and retail. So,
okay, sir. Okay, thank you. Okay, there's one more question. Okay, the development of artificial intelligence and robotics can be seen in this pandemic situation. Will this escape the human control?
I would not say that it would escape human control. So it is going to be more and more of collaboration, as Dr. Pradeep was mentioning. So the world is going to be more of cobots and collaborative intelligence, what he was mentioning. So it's not going to just we are going to assign everything to machines. It's going to be we will be working with machines or robots and more on, I mean, whatever that repetitive tasks and sudden peak demand work would be assigned to the robots, and the rest of the more intelligent work would be still carried out by humans. I don't think that it would escape us.
Okay, sir. Okay, there's a question related to admissions. Okay, I would like to answer this. Okay, what is the how to apply for the test for the MTech admissions, and what is the eligibility criteria? Okay, for this, what you need to do is you have to visit our website. There's a registration link. You have to register there, and you have to upload all the documents which is asked, like the BTech marks cards, the degree certificate, or the 10th, 12th mark sheets, and other details. Eligibility criteria is like you are supposed to have 50% and above, and apart from civil engineering, you are eligible. If you are from mechanical engineering or from electronics or from computer science, you are eligible for the MTech admissions in the robotics and automation. Okay, there's one more question. How will additive manufacturing evolve robotics and automation?
See, I think these two are two different things. I'll put it this way. Additive manufacturing is having some limitations on its own in terms of scalability. It has a limitation because you can manufacture a particular part and it takes them some time. Whereas if you need to go for mass production in less time, that is why the robotics will play more of a role in order to bring that up. But again, additive manufacturing has the advantage of setting up locally at the location where you require it, whereas a robotics will be required to be set up in a factory type of an environment. And it will involve some logistics time in between for the transportation and other things. So on a various aspects, it has various pros and cons. It depends on the application type where you need it to be. So for example, if you look at mass production type of a scenario, maybe you have to put a robotics type of a scenario in a factory setup which does mass production. But let's say if you want to do a spare parts replacement, which might be near to a dealership or near to some of the consumers, that is where you put additive manufacturing, which can manufacture the same part and supply it in less time rather than taking more lead time from getting it supplied from a factory. So depending on a case-to-case basis, I think we need to, this is just one example I gave you. So we need to decide based on the application where we want to deploy it. And both these technologies have these pros and cons, as I mentioned.
I would just add one more thing, that additive manufacturing will cater for the customized customer demands. So immediate and short-term or the small number demands can always be met with the additive manufacturing. But definitely, both these technologies are not competing with each other. Different sectors they play in.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So there's one more question that is with respect to the GDP. So the manufacturing industry is one of the core of the India with respect to GDP is concerned. So how about robotics?
See, as the projection goes, in fact, what I showcased also, there is a likelihood that within 7 years, the compounded annual growth is likely to be in the range of 12 to 13%, is what what people are envisaging. So from that perspective, the growth rate is quite high as compared to the overall GDP of India. If we look at this, so from that perspective, it is a highly contributing and highly demanding field which is yet to come. And I think with various applications which are coming up in various industrial sectors and new use cases which are also getting identified, I think the demand is getting built up. There were some limitations earlier in terms of the thought process of people, but especially the pandemic actually have moved people to a digital way of thinking. And the digital adoption actually has increased during this pandemic. And now people started thinking that things can be done remotely. It can be done in an automated fashion. And that is also helping us to build actually a lot of demands in the field of automation. So this projection or this analysis which was done pre-pandemic scenario, maybe there will be a further boost is what I see. So definitely it will be having a higher percentage growth rate is what I am expecting.
Okay, so thank you. Again, I'm getting few questions on the MTech admissions. So I'll request Dr. Satish if you can share the screen for the eligibility criteria and can speak about it. Satish?
Okay,
Dr.
okay,
Satish? Yeah.
okay. See, as I mentioned, the eligibility for the admission is BTech or BE with 4-year duration, with, with a minimum 50% marks for the equivalent grade for the general merit candidate, and for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, SC/ST for 45 percentage. So we, it is a interdisciplinary branch other than the civil engineering, all the branches like mechanical, electronics, telecommunication, computer science or information technology, mechatronics, automobile, and any other disciplines are eligible for this program. Both GATE as well as the non-GATE qualified students are eligible for this. Like for a GATE students, admission will be based on the GATE score, and they will get a TA ship. And for a non-GATE student, it is via the SIT and test exam. And if for any more other queries, like our intake is only 18 for the MTech, and BTech it is 60. For any more queries, you can note down the email IDs, as well as you can write directly to Dr. Arun, as well as call him if you have any queries on the same.
Dr. Satish, can you again highlight about the stipend part and the internship part? Because I'm getting queries again on the scene.
Okay, like as I said before, just a minute. The GATE stipend students are eligible for a TA state with a stipend up to 16,000 per month. Up to 16,000. It may vary a little bit here and there. For a non-GATE students, many paid internship, we are in tie-up with a few industries, as well as a few more are in the process, which will be operational within 6 months. So they will be getting a 1 year full internship at their final year of MTech program at different robotics and automation industry, based on their the interview of the companies and different scenarios based on.
Cool, Satish. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, panelists, I'll take one last question. There's a question in the chat box. I can see like what role does a data scientist going to play in the field of robotics?
Maybe just I can throw some
Yeah,
light
sure,
on
sure.
it. I feel that like they would play a really important role, because for like most of the research in ML, to build these models from scratch from the on the first hand, you need a lot of data. So that's where this data scientist would come into play in terms of handling data and getting like good data and filtered data, to be honest, together so that it would be possible for the researchers to be able to build good models. So I would say yes, that would be a very, very promising like role for something who is into robotics and ML. And it's like a subordinate role for it, but yes, it's very important for the field in developing new AI algorithms. That would be my take on it.
Thank you, Mohit. Thank you. And okay, someone is asking about what is the syllabus for the SAT entrance exam. For the syllabus, please visit our website. Go to the tab under MTech admissions. In that, go to the robotics and automation. Click on the eligibility criteria, and there you can also find the syllabus part. Okay. Okay, I guess I have covered all the questions which were asked. Okay, now I would like to request Dr. Sachit. Hello, Dr. Sachit. Yeah. So I would
Hello,
like to request Dr.
Dr.
Sachit
Vinay.
to
Am
give
I
a
audible?
vote of thanks. Yeah, Sachit, you are audible.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Vinay, for inviting me to give the vote of thanks. So first of all, I would like to thank on behalf of Symbiosis Institute of Technology and Team Automation and Robotics to all the panelists, Dr. Pradeep Chatterjee sir and Sudhindra Aldodiri sir and Mr. Mohit Hitesh Kapoor for sharing their knowledge and views about the current and future global market on robotics and automation. And thank you for your valuable time for sharing with us. And we, the Symbiosis Institute of Technology, would like to have the continuous association with all the panel members in all aspects like curriculum restructuring, industry academia collaboration, conducting guest lectures and expert talks. And thank you once again. And last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants for attending this panel discussion. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Sachit. Yeah, again, I would like to thank all the three panelists, Dr. Pradeep sir, Dr. Sudhindra sir, and Mohit. Thank you so much for attending. Thanks for a valuable time.
I would like to thank Dr. Pradeep Chatterjee and Mr. Mohit Kumar for enhancing my knowledge, and I would be in touch with both of them. Thank you for sharing your thoughts about this topic. Thank you very much, and thanks to SIT for providing me this opportunity to be in this August company.
Yeah, we know that we have given very limited time. Apologize for that. Again, in future, we'll just get connected and we'll exchange our knowledge. That would be really a great thing.
Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I mean, like being the youngest one here, it was nice to hear the other two panelists and gain more knowledge as like it's just stepping new in the field. And congratulations to Team SIT for such a successful event. Thanks everyone and stay safe.
Thank you, Mohit. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for giving the opportunity to participate, and definitely it was a good learning also for me, for Dr. Sudhindra and Mohit. I think Mohit also brought up the perspective of what is going in the university, which was important to know. So thanks for sharing that as well. And definitely the SIT students and the professors, I think they have crafted the courses very well, is what I see. And I see this robotics and automation coming up a big way in SIT itself as well. So all the best to both the institute and the students. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Thank you.